two players that in draft circles are getting a lot of talk and deservedly so, and especially sort of first round talk. And mainly there's a dichotomy with each of these players. And first and foremost is Travis Hunter, as the Heisman Trophy winner, who I see in terms of consensus board is up there 1, 2, 3, number one on a lot of people's big boards as the best overall player. Where do you think he should play? Do you think he should be Mr. Full-time both like he was in college? Like I've really wanted, and you and I really haven't discussed this at all, but I've really wanted to hear your thoughts on what do you think he should end up eventually being? And is he, depending upon the position or both or whatever, is that a top 5 pick?
I don't think you can do both. And listen, he proved he could at Colorado. This ain't Colorado. Like, this is about to be the best of the best. And I honestly think by watching him, I think he also struggled because he played both. I don't think it helped him develop as much as he possibly should. I don't know if this is going to be controversial or not, Brent, because I don't read a lot of stuff. But when I watch Travis Hunter, and I go back and I watch almost every single one of his games, and to me, when I watch the tape and when I watch him on both sides of the ball, and I just say, where do I think he's better? I think he's a better receiver. Like, I think that's his future. And I'm not saying he's not a bad defensive back. I think he's got really good technique. I think he can stick to people. He's got great. He's a really good corner. He's a great corner. He's a really good corner that can stick people, can match movements. I don't know what he's going to run, and I'm very interested to see what he runs, because I don't think he's a blazer. I don't think he's going to be a crazy fast 40.
4. He's not sub 4.4.
I don't think so. I don't see that. I don't think I see that. But so I say that. But when I see him at receiver, I see the elements of body control. I see the elements of hands. I see a lot of savvy off the line of scrimmage with the ability to change routes. And I do think playing corner really helps you when you play wide receiver and vice versa. I think because you know exactly what you're staring at. So you know exactly the drills they're working on. You know what the things are important and how to use them against you. And I do think that's beneficial for both sides of the ball. And I think that's why he plays with a really good high intelligence level. But when I'm drafting him, I'm going to draft him on one side of the football. I think it's going to be amazing to see the discrepancy, because I bet you it'll be close to split. But I think watching him and his body control and his hands and his elite traits, I think his elite traits are more suited for wide receiver than they are DB.
I thought for a second we might actually disagree on this, but I agree. I think he's a receiver first, and I think he's a third down, come in every now and then. I do think that you have to use the elements of both, because I don't know, and this is my question watching him, is I don't know if he's elite enough individually or elite enough at one to be that high of a pick. I don't, and there's a physical element. There's a lack of true physical element to his game that to me might show up in the pros that hasn't necessarily shown up in the college.
Well, and I think we know this as a coach too, Brent. Like, reps get you better. Reps make you grow. When you're splitting time with two different things, it's harder to get better at one thing than the other. And I mean, everything you do usually at the college level is I'm developing my release. I'm developing my ability to stop in 3 steps. I'm developing my brain when it comes to this, and you're splitting time. And while it's a cool novelty and it's awesome, and he won a Heisman Trophy because of it, like that's why he won a Heisman Trophy. And it was fun to watch somebody, and his endurance was unquestioned and his athletic ability is unquestioned. I think when you get to be a person that does the reps over and over and over again, it becomes more second nature, and you can see the skills. I just think I see more raw skills and more, again, those traits that really carry over to making you an elite wide receiver is to be able to change your routes up and to be able to change your, the appearance of the way you release, and the way you release to be able to contort your body. Listen, there's a lot of guys that are burners. They can't contort their bodies. Like, it's just not possible, and they don't see it. That son of a gun sees it. He feels it. He honestly, he does a great job of going through contact too for a smaller guy. Like, he's not affected by people grabbing a hold of him. I think it's
play strength.
Yeah, he's got good play strength considering he's wiry. Like he's a slimmer guy.
I will say this, the slimness, the part, I can't get the image out of my head. We saw him on the sideline. I think it was right the year before, right his senior year, high school. He was on the sideline of one of the Georgia games, and he looked like he was about 155 soaking wet. He was a lean dude. Now, granted, he's obviously grown and got more physical. I will be interested to see what he weighs in at the combine. But the other thing for me is I think in terms of sustainability, what has been shown in the league is that if you get to be a good receiver, barring injury, you're going to be a good receiver relatively consistently. Cornerback, you kind of fluctuate. There's an instability to sort of performance year in and year out because of so many factors around you. Whereas if you're a receiver, as long as your quarterback for the most part can do anything, you can be consistently productive. And also, who's getting paid more right now? Receivers are getting paid more. And if I'm him, I'm really good at both, and I can make myself a lot more money at one than the other. Yeah, I agree. But the thing for me that's going to be fascinating is does he fall to, say, 5, 6, or 7 because they don't know what to do? Because an NFL team doesn't definitively know, hey, that guy's a corner. I'm going to go stick him at corner game 1 and be fine with it, that kind of thing. Does his ability to play both create questions? I
think he will. I think because here's the thing. When you're making these decisions in these rooms and you talk to these guys, like now listen, people fall in love with their guys. Like, that's my guy. They fall in love with them. But they also now, I think we're starting to see more and more, like, these people that are making these decisions, they want to know at the top as much as they can exactly what they're getting. And I think when you have a little bit of guesswork of what is he, you start questioning builds, you start questioning size, you start questioning durability. Like, he also missed games. Like, that's part of it. And you play both ways, you wear and tear. You talk about building a body. It's hard to build a body when you're running that many miles on the body too. I ain't never seen in my life a ripped up, shredded long distance runner. Never.
Yep.
They might be lean as crap, but you look at a sprinter and you're like, muscles popping everywhere. Like, and then you look at a long distance runner and you're like, dang, eat a cheeseburger, bro. Right? Like, that's just kind of the way you feel about it. So I think it definitely will create some indecision. It won't kill him, but the talk of him being number 1, I think when you know what you're getting probably from other guys, I think it'll keep him from being 1 or 2 or maybe even top 5. I could see him going maybe in the 5 to 10 range, which is pretty dang good, by the way. Like, nothing to freaking sneeze at.
I agree. And also, I also think it'd be fascinating to the value proposition of him if he does give you snaps on the other side of the ball. If he's saying above average to above average on one side and gives you snaps on the other side of the ball, the value from that perspective, the sort of the nerd in me looking at the contract and the value that you're adding, that's fascinating to me, because if he can give you 10 really good snaps as a corner and he's playing full-time as a receiver or vice versa, that's a
pretty cool
roster spot. That's an extra roster spot. That's money saved. That's value. That's fascinating to me.
And he's been doing his college coach proud, because Prime did it, which was pretty cool to watch.